Thank you very much. Please be seated. We're back on the record in the matter of State of Utah versus MacNeill. He is present with his counsel. The state's attorneys are here. The jury is seated. Alexis Summers is on the witness stand. You may cross.
Good afternoon. You have been very involved with the investigators in relation to the progress of this case, correct?
That's correct.
And you've also taken the opportunity to go to numerous media outlets to share your story as well, correct?
That's correct.
And your sister Ada has been living with you for quite a number of years, correct?
Yeah, Ada, Ellen, Sabrina have.
Yeah.
Ever since my mom died.
Since fall of 2007, roughly.
Since summer of 2007, yeah.
And you have permanent custody of Ada, correct?
Yes, I had custody of my sisters.
And in the fall of September of, in September of 2007, you prepared a lengthy document which you titled an official statement in relation to your concerns with your father, correct?
That's correct.
And you provided that to the Pleasant Grove Police Department?
Yes.
And you subsequently provided other drafts to the Utah County Attorney's Office of your official statement as well, correct?
Yes.
And you worked with Doug Whitney in relation to some modifications to your official statement, correct?
At some point, Doug Whitney and the investigators had additional questions or asked for more details of specific things that I did add.
And they prepared investigative summaries and provided those to you to review as well, correct?
I think they did prepare a few things and provide me with some. I don't know if they're called investigation summaries or what they're. Some reports, yes.
You also communicated with the investigators numerous times by email, correct?
That's correct.
And in those various emails, you shared facts about your recollection of events in relation to your mother's passing, as well as your father, correct?
Yeah, I shared some memories and. Mm-hmm.
And you did your best to accurately share facts in both your official statements as well as in your emails, correct?
Yeah, I did my best to remember what I could. Mm-hmm.
And I believe you testified earlier today that it's fair to say that your memory closer in time to the events is probably better than it is today?
For certain things, yes.
And I've provided some documents up there to try and make this process go as quickly as possible.
Okay.
You'll see some transcripts. You've sat in and been interviewed on a number of, we've had a number of occasions to be involved in interviews with the Utah County Attorney's Office, correct?
That's correct, uh-huh.
And one was an interview with your sister Rachel in September of 2009, correct?
If that's what you're telling me, I mean, I don't specifically remember what date or.
Did you see that transcript?
I do. I see this transcript. It says September 29th, 2009. Uh-huh.
That seems about the time that you had your interview with Rachel. Is that a fair statement?
Yeah, that's probably a fair statement, yeah.
And then you had the opportunity to sit in on an interview and also participate in an interview with your sister Vanessa as well, correct?
I don't remember if I did or not, but if you have record of, is it this one, right?
Next one over.
Oh, this one here?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay, it looks, I don't see, oh, AM, okay. Yep.
And
that was, I believe, January, well, it says January 20th, 2009.
And Does that seem about right, based upon your memory of when that interview occurred?
That could have definitely been the date. Yes, that seems right.
And then you also had an opportunity to be involved in an interview with you and Linda Clough, correct?
Yes.
And that was in January of 2011?
Yes. Sorry.
And then all the way over is a transcript of a preliminary hearing from October of 2012. Do you recall testifying at the preliminary hearing as well?
I do. Uh-huh.
Then there's a binder right next to you that has pieces of these records as well as other emails and such that we'll refer to and try and make
Okay.
our discussion as efficient
Okay.
as possible. If there's any record I refer to that's not clear to you, please let me know.
Okay.
And if any of the pieces in there seem to be confusing for any reason, let me know and I can get you the entire official statement or
Okay.
whatever. Okay. In the binder, if you turn to tab 6, and then in tab 6 there's a subsection D. And do you recognize that document as being part of one of your official statements that you drafted and provided to the Utah County Attorney's Office?
I do.
And then in paragraph 3 of that document, you indicate a couple of months before my mother died, Dad suggested that she have a facelift, correct? And so the time that Dad suggested that your mom have a facelift, according to your earlier statements, was actually a couple months before her passing, correct?
That's what I wrote here, but that was inaccurate.
So it's different from your memory now?
It's different from what happened.
Okay. And you've also testified here today about getting some phone records from your father, correct? Well, getting your father's phone and getting his password, correct?
Yes.
And that occurred in March of 2007?
I know when we called the number, it was March 2007. I don't specifically remember what day I got the password changed,
Okay.
or the password.
But at the time that you got the password, you were physically home in Pleasant Grove, correct?
Yes, because I did take my dad's phone in order to get the password.
And when you took his phone, you lied to your father and told him that you wanted to change or download a ringtone, correct?
I told him that I was going to download a ringtone, and I did, as well as look at this password.
You never mentioned anything in your statements that you actually did download a ringtone, did you?
I don't think I was ever asked that if I followed through with that.
And so you took his phone, and then you sent a email or a text to the phone company asking that they send the password back to the phone, correct?
I think that's what happened.
And then once you got the password, you deleted either the email or the text so that your father wouldn't know what you had been doing with his phone, correct?
I don't remember.
And let's see, if you turn to tab 7, maybe 7D. Is that an email that you sent to Doug Whitney on September 21st of 2008?
Yes, I believe. Yeah, that's what it's labeled. I don't see the specific email showing that I'd sent it, but
Okay. Appears to be a letter from you to Doug Whitney, correct?
yes.
And if you turn to page 2 under paragraph Q, then what you wrote was, later that day I took my father's phone telling him I was going to download a new ringtone on it. And instead I went online to T-Mobile and requested his password to be texted to his phone. Correct? I got his password, I then deleted the text and then gave him his phone back. Correct?
Uh-huh.
That's what you reported to the county, right?
That's what is written down here, yes.
If you turn to tab 9, you recall talking with Doug Whitney about medications that your father asked Dr. Thompson to prescribe?
I don't recall any specifics, but I guess this will refresh me.
Okay. And this is just an excerpt from your interview on January 20th of 2009 with your sister Vanessa.
Okay.
Correct, on tab 9. And if you turn to the second page in tab 9, which is actually page 55 of the interview, about halfway down, you indicated that my dad asked Dr. Thompson to prescribe that medicine, referring to Ambien.
That's correct. That was one of the medications he asked to be prescribed.
And so if Dr. Thompson has testified here today that that's a medication that he normally prescribes, you would take issue with who suggested Ambien in relation to your mother's plastic surgery?
I just know it was one of the medications on the list that my dad wanted prescribed.
In your original official statement, you didn't say anything about a list of medications, correct?
A list of medications.
That your father supposedly gave to Dr. Thompson.
I don't know. I'd have to go through that. It was kind of more of a summary. It didn't have the full detail of everything.
You may.
There's a full copy.
Okay. I mean, did you want me to go through the full?
If you want to look through the part where you talk about Dr. Thompson, there's nowhere in here where you say that your father gave him a list of medications to prescribe.
Well, and he didn't give him a list, Dr. Thompson a list. He referred to this list that he had created previously.
Nowhere in here that refers to your dad using a PDR to come up to a list previously.
No, and like I said, this is very shortened versions of the event. This was just me being a layperson bringing in this statement to the Pleasant Grove Police Department.
And this was your first report, and it's actually, what, 18 pages long?
I think it's longer than that.
As far as what you write,
Oh.
not documents that you have attached.
Yeah, but I put a lot of other information that found out about my father
Yeah.
in
You
with
didn't put
it.
anything in here about the PDR or this list of medications that, you reported that sometime later.
I don't know how much later, but I know it was, I don't think it was too much. Well, it took actually a while for the police to even look into my mom's death, so that may have been reported later. Can I put this right here, or do I need it?
Yeah, yeah.
Is that okay right there?
Yeah.
Okay.
In the September 2009 interview with you and Rachel, you also discussed the trip up to the preoperative appointment with Dr. Thompson that you were involved in, correct?
You'd have to tell me, I'm sure you'll tell me what page.
Yeah, you want to turn to page 36?
Okay, thanks. Oh, 36 of what,
Of the interview with Rachel.
which tab would that be on?
I'm sorry, that one's not in a tab, that's in this.
Oh, it's just in this one, okay. Page 36.
And then if you look down, like at about line 19. Then what you said your dad said to your mom was that, no, you have to have it done now. I'm so busy at work and Alexis is here. She can take care of you during her spring break. Correct?
That's what he had said.
And so your mom, she went and she even talked to Dr. Thompson about it. Correct?
Can you repeat that one more time? I'm just confused,
Yeah,
so.
I'm sorry. So on line 21, it says that your mom even talked to Dr. Thompson about possibly postponing the surgery, right?
She talked about, because she talked with him specifically about, losing weight and different things like that and postponing if that would make a big difference.
And Dr. Thompson said it would only make a difference if it was like 50 pounds or something like that, right?
I believe so.
And then he told her that you don't need to lose that much, and your mom says, oh, okay, right? That's what you reported.
That's what was reported here, yes.
Now, you spent some time talking today about this issue that I'll describe as the over-medication claim. And that, you say, occurred on the evening that your mother came home from the hospital.
Yes, on the 4th.
And you've discussed the Zyrtec notebook. There, correct, Mayor Prochar?
You may.
And in the Zyrtec notebook, from what you label as day 2, and then that was your terminology, right? Day 2 and day 3.
Yes, yeah, and I wrote these.
And I believe you testified earlier today that you called it day 2 because it was the second day
After her surgery. That's correct.
Okay. And so in your Zyrtec log, you have medications that go through 1040 at night, correct?
That's correct.
The 1040 Percocet, those were medications that you gave your mother and recorded it on the log, correct?
That's correct.
And then when you go to day 3, then you record some medications given at 12 a.m. Arnica, 12 a.m. Valium, 1 a.m. Lortab, 130 Phenergan, 130 Percocet times 2, and 130 Ambien.
Yes.
Those are medications, as I understand your testimony, that your father administered that you found out about the following day.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Those are the medications when I asked him, what did you give her? Those are the medications that he stated he gave her, and the approximate times as well.
And so the times were approximate, correct?
This is just what he told me, and so I wrote down what he told me.
In your official statement, you noted, and this excerpt is in tab 11A.
Leave that open.
And so you noted there in paragraph 6 that it took the whole day for your mother to become lucid, correct?
To become fully lucid, yes.
You don't say fully, you just say lucid, right?
I just said it took the whole day for her to become lucid.
Right. And you've repeated that to investigators as well numerous times, that it took the whole day for your mother to become lucid, correct?
Yes.
And you also discussed this incident with 2020 as well, correct?
I believe so, yes.
And you discussed it at the preliminary hearing also, right?
Yes.
And at the preliminary hearing, you testified that, pretty much consistent with what you said today, that your mother wasn't able to speak until early evening, correct?
I believe I testified that wasn't able to carry on, like a full conversation or being what I deem as fully lucid until earlier in the evening.
At the preliminary hearing, you didn't use fully lucid, did you?
I don't know. I don't remember what I said.
Turn to page 809.
Okay.
And there you see that you're asked the question, when was she able to have a conversation with you? Well, I'm sorry, that was your answer. Well, basically you indicate that it was early evening before she was able to have a conversation with you, correct?
I also indicated that I wasn't 100% sure of the exact time. But to have a full conversation with her, it was later on in the day, definitely.
At the preliminary hearing, you didn't say anything about your mother communicating with you in any way about even being in pain prior to that conversation, correct?
I don't believe I was asked that in the preliminary hearing.
In none of your other statements that you've given in this case, have you ever said that your mother communicated with you in any way prior to the early evening when you said she became lucid, correct?
I don't know. I'd have to look over all my statements.
You don't remember saying that, though, do you?
I don't remember saying that.
That your mother had communicated with you and indicated she was in pain and therefore needed pain medication, for example, prior to early evening?
I'm just not 100% sure on that one.
My point is, up until today, you've never said anything other than it was early evening before your mother came out of this, what you've described as a semi-comatose state, correct?
I just don't know if I was ever asked that specifically.
And you never volunteered it, correct?
I'm only told to answer, the question that I'm given.
But you've written the story many times, correct?
A story or?
Your recitation of events, we'll call it. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to imply story per se.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I've given several statements to law enforcement, and I have been interviewed in the past.
And today is the first time that you've ever indicated that your mother communicated with you perhaps as early as 2:45 and indicated she was in pain, correct?
You know, I just don't remember what I've said in every specific correspondence with investigators at this time.
You spent some time preparing for your testimony here at trial, right?
I've prepared.
Gone over statements, noticed things that were inconsistent, correct?
You know what, I've just gone over my preliminary hearing.
So you have gone over the preliminary hearing transcript.
I've gone over some of it.
And you've also testified at other hearings, such as in June of this year, correct? June 26th.
Gosh, I've been to so many court things, I don't really remember what was that hearing about?
Point is that you've recently been made aware of an inconsistency with your testimony in relation to your mother not being able to have a conversation until the evening on April 5th, and your Zyrtec log, and you have modified your testimony here at trial today, right?
No, that's incorrect.
You've just given new testimony that you haven't given any time before.
No, I just answered the specific questions that I've been asked.
On page 810 of the preliminary hearing, so maybe starting back on page 809, you were asked the question, was she eating and things like that? And you said, yeah, I know she didn't. She was eating anything for the first couple of days, but she was drinking water. I don't know at what specific time. And then question, okay. And then your answer, during the time she was sedated, if she ever was awake enough to take one sip of water, I don't remember. That's what you said at the preliminary hearing, right?
Yes.
You didn't even remember her being awake enough during the day until the early evening to take a sip of water.
I didn't say during the day. I just said during the time that she was sedated.
Right. And this was right after we had just talked about her being sedated until you were able to have a conversation with her in the early evening, correct?
And once again, you know, I'd said early evening, but wasn't 100% sure of the exact time.
But the truth of the matter is on the Zyrtec log, you had been giving her medications since early in the day.
No, well, I'd given her, let me just refresh this. I'd done the eye ointment and some hydrogen peroxide, but it wasn't until the afternoon that I gave her anything that she would have had to take orally.
1250 methylprednisolone, that would have been oral, correct?
That would, yes, that's what I said. It wasn't until the afternoon.
1250 Premarin, that would have been oral,
That's correct.
right? And do you recall telling 2020 in that interview that when you went in and found your mother on the morning of April 5th in a sedated state, that she was able to communicate to you what occurred?
I don't remember that specifically.
And she was able to tell you what you say she said occurred, and then you went to to your father? Do you remember talking about that with 2020?
I don't.
Okay. Aaron, could we dim the light?
Yep.
I'm going to object because if he's going to impeach her with this, we don't even know what it is. Hasn't been explained to the witness.
Doesn't
I have no
need to be
idea
shown to her, does it?
What's that?
He doesn't need to show it to her first.
I don't think he can show it to the jury.
It's impeachment information, all right.
Overruled, he may use it. It's an inconsistent statement. The rule in Queen's case has been abolished by rule.
May I proceed?
You may. Go ahead.
You say that the next morning when you saw your mom, she was heavily medicated.
She was completely sedated and out of it. And she said, Alexis, you know, your dad, he just kept giving me medicines. And I went right to my dad and he goes, I don't know, I must have done something wrong. And he said, oh, your mother threw up, so then I gave her more medicine. I said, Dad, don't give her any more medicine. I'm going to take over.
So, in your interview with 2020, what you said is that you came in and found your mother on the morning of April 5th, and she told you that, and you found her sedated, and she told you that your dad kept giving her medication, and so then you went to talk to your dad, right?
It was, so when I went in this morning, when I went in the morning, she was sedated. I did not say in that 2020 interview what time she came to and was talking to me.
No, but what you said is that she told you that your dad had kept giving her medications, and so then you went to talk to your dad. That's what you said in that interview, right?
Yeah, but it wasn't, that's not accurate. I went to my father first because my mom was sedated.
You discussed this issue in your interview on January 11th as well, correct?
I'm not sure.
Turn to page 17.
Which one is the January 11th? Is that
That's the
the?
one with, it's January 5th, 2011, maybe
Oh, okay. January 5th, 2011. Which page, sorry?
17.
Okay.
And in line 263, you said, it took pretty much the whole day for her to come to, correct?
Yes.
Line 366, you said you didn't leave her side, correct?
Say that one more time. Line 360.
366?
Uh-huh.
You said you didn't leave her side, correct?
Yes. Wait, let me just read.
368, you said you stayed right by her the whole day. Right?
Yes. This, okay.
And then the investigator asked, I mean, she could not get up and go to the bathroom by herself? And you queried, on that morning? And they said, that morning. And you said, no. Right?
Yes, on that morning she could not.
And then down on 381, line 381. I'm sorry, maybe let's start on 379.
Yes.
Maybe let's go to 377. The question was asked, what would have been her response? And you said, no, she couldn't. I mean, I was shaking her to wake her up, and she wouldn't wake up. She was not, it was hours and hours later that she was finally coming to. That's what you said, right?
Yeah, and that's correct. It was hours later.
And then you were queried, she could respond to you a little bit, and you said she'd be kind of moaning a little bit.
And this was the first thing in the morning when I went in.
Okay. 384, you said she wasn't coherent, right?
She was not initially when I went in there, definitely not.
388, she wasn't even really moving, right? That's what you said? In your past descriptions of this, what we call the over-medication incident, it was much more profound than what you've described today in court, correct?
I don't understand that question.
I'll move on. Turn to page 894 in the preliminary hearing.
Okay. Okay, I'm there.
And starting on line 7, you were asked at some point, did she wake up? And you answered she did, right?
Yes.
And the question was to the point where she could communicate with you? And you answered exactly.
Yes.
Right? And then the question was, what did she tell you? And you said, I asked her what happened. And then you say, Dad, Dad gave you too much medicine. Well, I asked her what happened. And then she was fearful. So at the preliminary hearing, you testified that you're the one that told her that Dad gave her too much medicine, correct?
Yeah, well, it was after she had said, your dad kept giving me medication.
That's not what you said at the preliminary hearing, though, is it?
No, I did mention that as well.
Well, what you say here is that you told her Dad gave you too much medicine, and then she was fearful, right?
I mean, she was fearful when she was talking to me before that.
Okay. You've previously stated that the only time in your perception that that your mother wasn't thinking clearly since she had her surgery was on that morning, April 5th, correct?
That she wasn't thinking clearly.
Right.
Yeah, on that morning. Well, right after her surgery, when she was in the post-operative recovery, I did see her there, and she was groggy, but
And in your interview on, if you want to turn to page 75 of your January 5th,
okay.
2011 interview.
The 2011 interview, okay. 75, did you say?
Yes.
Okay. Oh, sorry, I keep knocking that.
Starting on line 16, you said, I mean, the only time she was incoherent was that day where she was drugged. But directly after her surgery, when she woke up from anesthesia, she was thinking clearly. That's what you said, right?
Well, after a surgery, they put you in the recovery room for a little bit of time before they move you to another room. And after that time, she was thinking clearly.
So after that time, all the medications that she got in the hospital didn't cause her to not think clearly.
Well, she was able to speak with me and, have normal conversations.
And during all the rest of the week, after her surgery at home, she was able to speak with you and have normal conversations, correct?
Yeah, I mean, she was having some pain and having a few issues, but no, she was thinking clearly.
So notwithstanding the medication that she was taking on those days, other than the 5th, she was able to think and act appropriately, correct?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Did you leave the house on April 5th?
I don't remember leaving the house.
It turned, still in tab 11, to sub-tab H.
11H.
Yeah. Do you recognize this as being a page from your records, which your cell phone records, which the prosecution admitted as an exhibit?
That looks correct.
And so this is the page for April 5th, correct?
It has April 5th, yes, and on here.
And at 3:02 p.m., you received or placed a call, rather, from wherever you were back to your house phone number of 785-7588, correct?
Can I get refreshed again what my cell phone number was at that time? Because
If you look up at the top,
okay.
I believe it says this is itemized details for 801-7.
Uh-huh.
That's the number that you testified to earlier was your cell phone at the time, right?
Yes.
And so on April 5th of '07, wherever you were, you placed a call back to the house at 3:02 p.m. that lasted for 23 minutes, correct?
That's what it looks like, yes.
So sometime prior to then, you'd left the house, right?
I left either. I mean, it might have been my cell phone. I let my little sisters use it as well. I don't recall leaving the house that day.
Referring back to the Zyrtec log, you discussed writing down medication in your official statement from September of 2007, right?
I'd have to review that, but
Turn to tab 12. I've got just the excerpt.
Okay.
And you're welcome to
okay.
read the entire thing if you'd like. On paragraph 6.
Uh-huh.
You indicate that you wrote down every medication that your mother took. You didn't say anything in this official statement about a black book, did you?
I'd have to look over the whole statement. I don't know if I did at that time say that.
You didn't say anything about the Zyrtec log either.
I just said that I wrote every medication down and the time for her next dose.
You didn't say anything about copying the Zyrtec log into the black book either, did you?
No, like I said, I only stated that I wrote down every medication that she took and the time for her next dose. But like I said, these were big events, and I narrowed it down to the small paragraphs just to show kind of an outline of what happened.
Turn back to your interview from January of 2011. And go to page
Okay.
14. So beginning on line 286, you indicate to the investigators that you have this little green notebook that you do have with you
Yes.
at home somewhere, and that you'll find it.
Yeah.
This was the first time in this investigation that you ever disclosed to anybody that you had any sort of a record of the medications that you say you gave your mother, right?
I don't know if this was the first time that I mentioned it.
Prior to this, you'd always said that when you went home, the record was gone. Isn't that correct?
When I went home, the official record was gone. That is correct.
And so this is the first time that you said, oh, the official record is gone, but I've got this Zyrtec book, right?
I don't know if this was the first time I'd mentioned that,
And
Mr.
this happened to
Spencer.
come at a time when your civil suit against your dad in relation to the house wasn't going so well, correct?
No, I don't.
In fact, you sued your dad to take the family home, correct?
No, that's not correct.
So claiming that he can't inherit from your mother because the house was in her name,
Well,
because you allege that he killed her in your civil suit, right?
well, that had been going on a long time. I was appointed the executor of my mom's estate before her death, and it's my duty as the executor for my siblings to
sue your dad?
no, not to sue my dad, but to make sure that the estate is processed the way it should be.
And at this time, there had been an order entered requiring the estate be distributed to your dad, which you were trying to get set aside, correct?
I don't know of that specifically.
And you actually even asked the county attorney's office to write a letter on your behalf to submit to the court?
I don't recall specifics of that, but I think they did write a letter at some point.
So at any rate, in January of 2011, you disclose that you've got this little green Zyrtec notebook, right?
And I think I'm almost sure I'd mention it at another time as well, but I don't remember the specifics.
If you mentioned it someplace else, I suspect that the prosecution will correct me on that on redirect.
Objection, argumentative.
Sustained.
And on page 14, you go on to say
Of
That-
this,
of the January 2011 transcript,
okay,
that Zyrtec notebook, it just has what medications that I documented until the day that, including the day that my mom was kind of drugged, is what you say there, right?
What sentence are you looking at again?
Page 14,
Oh,
lines 288, 289.
but like I'd said previously in here that I didn't know where the notebook was at that time, and so I hadn't been able to look at it and refresh my memory.
Okay. And so you say that it includes the day that your mom was kind of drugged, but nothing after that, because then I began writing all the rest of it in this black book.
You know what, and this was years later. I think I forgot that I had written a couple other extra days before I switched to the black book.
This is the first time that you've mentioned specifically the black book, too, right? Prior to this, it was always just like you said in your official statement, that you wrote down medication.
Yeah, I didn't say what I wrote it down in previously to my recollection, but I may have mentioned that before. I think I did mention it in the 2020 interview. And that was before any of the
Well, the
civil
2020
stuff.
interview was actually after this, right? That was in February of 2011?
No, no, I think that's when it aired, but we had been interviewed several years before this, a couple years. Maybe it was 2010, I believe. But you know what?
You don't remember for sure.
Well, I'd have to double check, but I believe it was before this 2011. They had been kind of following the case for several years before the official airing of it.
As far as anything that you reported to law enforcement, this is the first time that you ever mentioned the black book or the Zyrtec log, correct?
And like I said, I don't know if that's the first time I've mentioned it. But it was mentioned in this interview. You're correct on that.
You turn over to page 19.
Of what, Randy?
January 1, January
Okay.
11 interview.
Page 19.
And at the bottom, line 413, you explain that you had kept that log consistent with what you said here today in the top drawer, which is also where you say you kept the little black book, right? See that in 413 and 414?
Yeah, I see that, but I want to read a little bit above that to get into context here. Okay.
And if you turn over to the next page, on the next page, you say that you had thrown the little green Zyrtec book into your bag and taken it with you. And that's why you have it, correct?
Yes, after my mother died. I did find the little green book.
That's not what you say in this interview, though, is it?
I think that was what I was saying in the interview. And I haven't had time to read the whole interview, but
Read what you need. If you look on the top of page 20, referring to the
black
medication
log.
logs in the black book, yeah, the investigators asked you the question, and it was gone? And you said, answer, it was gone. And I had just kept with me. I'd thrown it in my bag, this little green medicine. That's why I do have what medication?
That's what happened. I did throw it in my bag.
Yeah, you indicated in this interview that you threw it in your bag when you went back to school, right?
Yeah, after my mom's funeral. That's what I remember. Does it specifically say? You're just not pointing me to any, I just can't. Yeah,
What it specifically says is what we just read.
okay.
That you had kept with you.
That's true, I did keep, and that's how I had this in my possession, because I did throw it in my bag when I went back to school.
You testified earlier today about the phone conversation with Dr. Fricke on the day after your mother's passing, correct?
Correct.
And that was done on speakerphone, correct?
Yes,
And you and your father were there, and Rachel was in and out, correct?
that's what I remember.
And you asked Dr. Fricke a lot of questions, correct?
I don't know. I don't think I asked her a lot of questions.
In fact, when
I don't-
when the call started, you were the first one to talk with her.
You know, I don't remember being the first one. I know that the phone call was on speakerphone. So I don't know if I was the first one. I don't recall.
Turn to tab C.
Yes. In this big binder?
Yes.
Okay.
So I'm sorry, 12C.
12C, okay. Wait. Okay.
And so over towards the right, you see the note about, well, first of all, it starts off at the top, MacNeill, Michelle, 41207, 1605. Does that sound about right?
For when, yes.
When it occurred? So, and then it says Alexis' daughter is first-year med student. And that was correct at the time, right?
I was a first-year medical student, that's correct.
And then goes into narcotic pain meds, Percocet, sparse 3 to 4 times a day.
That's correct.
And that's something that you would have either told her or agreed with, right?
I don't know. I don't remember being the one to first talk with her. I know it was on speakerphone, and my dad said, "My daughter is here in the room. She's a first-year medical student."
And then goes on to say under the Percocet dispense times 1 used, right?
Yeah, I believe that's what her handwriting says.
And second dispense not used.
That's, yes.
It's consistent with what you recall.
I don't know.
Facts, right?
I don't know what Dr. Fricke was referring to here. Second dispense not used. I don't know what this is her writing.
It's under Percocet, right?
Yes. It says Percocet sparse 3 to 4/day, but then I don't know dispense time 1 used or second dispense.
Okay. Then a couple lines down says had seen mother or MO day before.
I think that says had seen MD the day before,
Oh, okay.
and that would be Dr. Thompson.
Down on the very last line, it says family dispensed narcotics until day 6. Day 6, that's your terminology, right?
No, that's her terminology. That's what she's writing down.
Oh, of course, that's what she wrote down, but you're the one that was using, as you have on your Zyrtec log, day 2, day 3,
Well, I think that's a common thing
okay?
to write down, but I'm
Coincidentally,
not sure what she's,
coincidentally, your Zyrtec log goes up until day 6, recording medications, right?
I do.
Through day
No,
5.
it goes up to day 5.
exactly, through day 5 until day 6.
Okay.
Right?
Yes.
And then right up above that in Dr. Fricke's notes, it discusses mild respiratory distress night after surgery. Right? You see that?
Yes.
And so decreased amount of narcotics, Percocet.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't tell Dr. Fricke that there was this big over-medication issue that day, did you?
I don't recall telling her that.
And whether you said this or whether your dad said it, it was the so-called over-medication incident was mild respiratory distress.
Yeah, I don't know who said that specifically. I don't remember saying that.
Could we just stand for a minute?
Yeah.
Why don't you take a break, stand and stretch for just a minute?